Hi, very good morning. My name's Jeff Lawton. I'm a professional gambler. I've been a professional gambler for 20 odd years. And I don't know if you've watched my video yet with Star Sports. You can find it on YouTube. It will be on under betting people, and then my name Jeff Lawton, JEFFLAUGHTON. I'm going to give you my views daily on horse racing. It's not going to be a tipping channel. I'm not going to make it like that, only because it becomes a little bit pointless, really. When you start giving people losers, you end up getting a load of abuse, and I'm not looking for that. I'm just wanting to basically teach people and see if you can get to where I got. I started life in a council house and now live in a £1 million house, and that is down to me betting on horse racing. So it's going to be more of the old adage of, if I give you a fish, you can eat today, but if I give you a fishing rod and teach you how to use it, you can fish every day, so you'll eat every day. So I'm going to try and teach you the basics of where I changed from a losing punter into a winning one. I'm going to cover a few races each day. If you did watch the video, you'll know that the whole point for me is to identify races where I feel I'm the favourite to win, not the bookmaker. So there'll probably be 4 or 5 races a day where I can look at, and I'm not necessarily going to say I'm going to tip this, I'm going to tip that, but I'm going to give you my views on these races for what they're worth. So I'm going to start at Doncaster in the 1:30, and there are not many to concentrate on in this race, as most maiden and novice hurdles are the case. But the one that I quite like here is Leader in the Park. It won its point to point in Ireland impressively. I mean, it was made much easier because the second, third, and fourth all fell at the second last, fell or unseated rider at the second last, and he won half a furlong. I'm pretty sure he would have won anyway, but he certainly, his task was made much easier. They paid 250,000 for him straight after that, and they do think he's a serious horse. Now, on debut, he finished second to Farnog of Paul Nicholls at Ascot. I know that one's pulled up twice since, but it's a horse they really do like. So that was a very, very good run. He then went back to Ascot, and I know Ben thought he would actually win that race. And he travelled best, and he travelled best into the straight for me. And it was only from about 2 out that he really started to fade. And I know Ben came out after that and said he'd got a lot of mucus in his throat, and he put it down to that. Well, if he's anywhere near back to where they think he is, then he ought to win this very, very easily. So that's the first race I'm looking at. I'm looking at the 3:40 at Doncaster. I thought this morning when I first looked at it was quite difficult, but they've taken Willie the Builder out, which really only leaves Paradies and Support Act. Now, Paradies was a decent flat horse. I think he was rated about 92 at his best on the flat, and he won his maiden very impressively at Lingfield before running a much better race next time up behind a very smart one of Nicky Henderson's. Both the first and second are quite smart. And he came there having sat off the pace. He came there absolutely swinging at the last, and it looked at one stage as though it was going to give the odds-on favourite a real fright before weakening late on. Now, this is not much of a race. Support Act on his bumper form would be good enough, but I thought he was quite disappointing on his hurdles debut. So I thought it was between them two, and I thought Paradies ought to be winning that race. The other ones I want to look at are all at Ludlow. I'm going to go into the 1:55, and there's a horse here called Golden Maverick that was bought out of Ian Williams' yard. I think it was 100 grand they paid for it. Jamie Snowden bought it, and Jamie's a very, very good trainer. And this one ran a blinder on debut. About 3 weeks ago, I think, when it finished. I think finished a very good second. Let me just have a look how that race worked out. Just bear with me. So, by the way, I do use race form to get hold of my form. I mean, I know a lot of people will use the Racing Post and things like that. But as I've said in the video, I tend to back everything up with figures as well. So I think race form, time form, Racing Post rating, all very good ratings to use. But I do think it's important to actually put figures to something. Then you know where you're looking. So your eyes can deceive you. So I would suggest you do that. Now this one ran. He ran at Catterick. I remember the race now. He ran at Catterick and he tried to make all. He went off favourite, went off 4 to 5 favourite that day. But he was very slow at his hurdles and he was actually ended up being beaten by a horse that was quite decent on the flat for John Gosden called Masai Mara. Now, there ain't a lot in this race that would worry me if he's got his jumping together. Jamie Snowden does say that he has sculled well. But as I say, he does need to improve. If he has improved, I don't think there'll be a lot in this race that should bother him. So that would be of interest, that race. The other one I want to look at there is the 405, a horse called Monk's Meadow. He does jump well, but I'm not sure he's anywhere near a decent horse. He could be vulnerable today from an improver. He's definitely got the best form in the race to date. Whether you want to back something like that, I'm not so sure. As I say, potentially there could be something that went past him, but if they all run to the level that they're at, then he will win that race. They're the 4 races over jumps, and there was just one I wanted to look at Kempton, which was the 7 o'clock. Now I know that when Notable Speech made its debut, I was told it was a rocket. And he certainly won like one. Now he has improved a bit since, and although this is a much better race, he ought to be the one that took the beating in this race. So they're the horses I'm going to look at today, or the races I'm going to look at today. I'm going to be back tomorrow before 11 o'clock for sure, and I'll give you my news and views. As I say, I'm not really going to be tipping as such, but if you do subscribe to the people who have subscribed, I will be sending you 1 or 2 tips, or not so much tips, but horses that I've backed to quite big stakes. So I will speak to you tomorrow, and many thanks for looking in. Thank you.